Yellow Productions presents
a travel guide for Melbourne. I'm Chris, this is Topher. Together we make Yellow Productions. We do travel guides that are fun, informative, and entertaining. And today we are joined by our good friend, co-host, and longtime Yellow Productions subscriber, Ben. And Ben, he is a native of Melbourne, and he's going to show us around and give us the locals' perspective. In this video, we're going to hit the following attractions.
We'll take a walk over to the State Library of Victoria, a grand old library. Then we'll head over to the Queen Victoria Market. It's the largest open-air market in the Southern Hemisphere. We'll mosey on over to Bourke Street, which is Melbourne's central shopping street. Then at the top of Bourke Street is the Parliament House, one of Melbourne's best-known landmarks. We'll talk a little bit about Melbourne's big department stores. Then we'll meander through Melbourne's unique laneways and shopping arcades. We'll view Melbourne's street art. Some may call it graffiti, but here they call it art. We'll head on over to the funky neighborhood of Fitzroy, just outside the central business district. We'll then visit Chinatown, which is the oldest continuous Chinese settlement in the Western world, and we'll conclude by visiting Eureka Tower, the observatory on the 88th floor, for some amazing views.
But the first thing we're going to see in Melbourne is Federation Square, which is right here. So Ben, tell us about it.
I'm Ben, and this is my city, Melbourne. And we're standing here at Federation Square, which is kind of like a meeting place for all Melbournians. When it was first built, there was a lot of conjecture. People didn't like it. It was actually quite ugly. Nowadays, people are coming back to this point because there's big screens for people to watch football or sports. And you know what, I think it's quite pretty. While you're at Federation Square, stop by the Melbourne Visitor Centre. Pick up some information so you can see Melbourne easily. On your walking tour of Melbourne, visit the State Library of Victoria. It's a great place to see. Free entry. On the 6th floor, you can see beautiful views of the reading room, where all the desks are set up with all the chairs. It's somewhere that I like to go, especially when I want to read or do some work. Melbourne's the state capital of Victoria, and please, if you've got time, come and see the State Library of Victoria, because I think you'll really like it. Welcome to the Queen Victoria Market. Today we're going to be looking at the beautiful meat products and poultry and fish that you can get from this beautiful old market. It's an iconic market of Melbourne. If you follow me over here, I can show you a pig head for $5. There you go. There's pig heads for $4.99 each, or 2 for $8. I think you're laughing. So you can definitely try and see if you can fit that in your suitcase. You probably have to, pack it right. You probably wouldn't get through customs actually. So probably don't bother. Just look at it and enjoy it. This is the only market I can find a nice pig head. But we've got beautiful pork spare ribs here. Got some pork mince. These guys obviously like their pork. We're at the Queen Vic Market, into the building where there's salamis, there's beautiful cheese, there's even bread. It's a really gorgeous part of the building. So Chris, let's go and have a look at some kangaroo meat. That's beautifully tied up and ready for us to eat. Would you like to have a coffee?
Yeah, let's go get some coffee.
All right, let's go.
So we got our coffee. Ben tells me that Melbourne is like the world's capital for the best coffee anywhere in the world. Is it the best coffee?
Yes, it is.
Ben says it is. It's a pretty good cappuccino. At the Queen Victoria Market, you're going to find some of the cheapest in Melbourne. It's about $3 Australian dollars here, maybe $4 or $5 in other places in the city. But what we also got was we got this thing in this bag right here. Here, let me pull it out. This is a borek. It's $3.50. It's some Turkish food. There's a famous stall in there that just sells boreks, and that's all they sell. They have like different flavors, spicy lamb. This is the cheese and spinach. If you want to know how it tastes or more about it, or other cheap things to eat in Melbourne, check out my video on the best cheap eats in Melbourne. You'll find the link in the description below or at the end of this video.
Behind me is Benny's fruit shop. Actually, I didn't know that I owned a fruit shop. And look, we're all out of vegetables and fruits. Knowing me, that's what would have happened. I sell the big pineapples. Down the way a little bit, they sell the small pineapples. So look, you can get anything at this market, from bananas, vegetables, fruits, anything you want, anything. Come and visit. It's great.
Mandy, Ben's wife, said when we're at this market, we have to get American donuts from the American Donut Kitchen, because what do you do when you come to the market in Melbourne in Australia? You get American donuts. But I mean, they've got to be good, because if you look over this way, this line for these donuts, it's like 50 people long. And I mean, the best food is often with long lines. By the way, as an American, I have never seen donuts made in a truck as a kitchen, but hey, let's give them a try, because I want to see how these things taste. And by the way, this is the most interesting jelly donut I've ever seen. Like, American donuts are typically round. It's almost like a nose of some sort. Yeah.
Chicken leg.
A chicken leg too, or chicken feet. Yeah, like something I'd have at dim sum. They're pretty good though. I think the best kind of donuts are ones that are fresh. Anything freshly fried is super delicious. And there's a lot of donut places where you can get fresh donuts in the US, like Krispy Kreme will get you fresh donuts, but not fresh jelly donuts. So these are actually really good. So you should get some American donuts that are particularly Australian, because they're jelly.
Well, this is the final part of the market. And as you can see, there's a lot of quirky things being sold here today. From koalas to boomerangs to didgeridoos to cheap Chinese magnets. Look at this guy. He's looking right at us. He's saying, please take me home, I'm an Australian koala. Behind me is a GPO. Used to be our old post office, the General Post Office of Melbourne. It's now an H&M, so you can get some cheap clothing in there if you're in Melbourne and you've walked out of your hotel and it's a bit chilly. You need a jumper. It's what I did in Bern once, so you should try and do that. Come visit. It's not that expensive. It's quite cheap. Here is the Bourke Street Mall, where you've got a lot of shops and so forth, and you've got the laneways, which are down here, where you can eat as well. So it's there's a lot to do and see here, especially if you want to shop. This is where you come. This is the centre of Melbourne. Behind me is an iconic Melbourne tram, probably the oldest that they run at the moment, except for the City Circle tram, which is quite old. But they're using newer trams these days, like the one that's about to pass me now. Here we have the 96 Brunswick via Bourke Street. It's quite a long tram. They're actually all built in Melbourne too. So you see the Made in Melbourne. Well, the trams are free in the city centre, but if you want to know more about riding the trams in the city, on the city centre or around Melbourne, you'll have to look at Chris's video on how to ride trams in Melbourne.
At the end of Bourke Street is Victoria's Parliament House. This is the Parliament House for the state government of Victoria. It's been here since 1856. You can take free tours inside on weekdays. But the other thing that's kind of cool is if you stand up here on their staircase in front of the building, there's really neat views down Bourke Street of the central business district. Also a great place to just kind of watch the trams go by and life go by. I'm doing this on a weekend, so it's not quite as busy, but if you're here on a weekday, it's definitely quite buzzing at this intersection.
Behind me is David Jones and Maya. If you want to do some shopping or you want to spend all day looking at clothes and so forth, come here. They're great, they're big, and they've got a lot of various things that they sell. But my thing is the Royal Arcade. This is where I go to shop, and it's small little things like board games or little pieces of jewellery or little knickknacks. We're walking down the Royal Arcade at the moment. There's a beautiful game shop here. I bought a few games from here, but what I really want to show you is Gog and Magog. Who are these 7 feet tall men called Gog and Magog from England? Well, you might just have to read the sign. Coming from the Royal Arcade, we cross the street to Block Place, which continues to become the Block Arcade. And in Block Place, you can eat plenty of things. So sandwiches, pasta, you can drink coffee here. You can do it all on a pretty good budget. And the food's very good. Haig's Chocolate's my favourite chocolate store. But this place is great for chocolates. Haig's Chocolates. Bit of a Melbourne icon, established in 1915. When you're in the Block Arcade in Melbourne, be sure to visit the Hopeton Tea Rooms. somewhere where you can eat a beautiful cake and sip on a beautiful tea. And this stuff makes me drool. Center place behind me might not have the looks, but has the food. So unlike the high tea place that looks really, really beautiful, this place is actually a little bit ugly. It's got fantastic food. So come here for a bite to eat once you've had some high tea. A lot of people on their lunch breaks actually come here for a bite to eat. They can get a quick sandwich or a yogurt, even a croissant. And you know, it's nice and quick and cheap. This laneway is a laneway that's pretty much just made for eating, even though it looks like it's street. There's always chairs and tables here ready for someone to sit down and grab something to eat. So don't be fooled, it's not a street, it's an actual eatery area. Melbourne Street Art. It's varied, it's different, it's iconic to our city. You'll see down behind me is a bunch of street artists doing their things, and they leave their mess behind, as you do when you're a street artist in Melbourne, creating this beautiful works of art. The street art's not just limited to the walls, it's on the bollards, it's on poles. Here anything goes, you can paint anywhere really, until the cops get you.
But for even more street art, head out of the CBD to the Fitzroy neighborhood. This neighborhood, it's about a 10-minute Uber ride from the CBD, and there's street art here everywhere. I'm in kind of like a parking lot, parking garage. There's a frog, there's like a really hip guy or lady, I'm not sure. Over here there's a dog, but like even the buildings are painted. Over there, that's a cafe that has like the famous kind of finger thing. I mean, this whole neighborhood is covered with street art, and it's not just like graffiti that's ugly, but it's actually, I mean, that's quite artistic on that building. And the building, there's like a trailer that matches it too in the parking lot. The graffiti art wanted to point out, and so do I, that this place is called Melbourne. Melbourne. I mean, B-O-U-R-E-N-E is pronounced Melbourne. If I say it differently, it's not said that way. Melbourne. Did I say it enough?
Behind me is a Chinatown gate. It's on Little Bourke Street. We've just come from Bourke Street. You can come here for a good feed. There's a procession of horses on carriages, or that didn't sound right. Horses pulling a carriage. Thank you, Chris. Chris, are you hungry?
I am hungry.
Do you want to eat?
Yes, let's go eat.
You want to eat Chinese food?
That sounds great.
There's no other option.
All right.
Okay.
Let's go.
Thanks.
All right.
Let's do it.
Are we going to take a horse there?
No, not today. They're going the wrong way.
All right.
So maybe next time.
Okay.
For great views, you've got to come up to the top of the Eureka Tower. And for even better view, go in the box. It's opaque and then goes clear, and then you look like you're about to fall out nearly. Pretty scary stuff. I know I won't do it this time. Maybe next time. Oh God, I got vertigo. One of the cool things that Eureka Tower has is this outside viewing terrace. So we're on the 88th floor, and we have access to the open world here, so it's not all closed off. So if you want to take some even nicer photos, you can try and see if you can take them through these little mesh holes, which I sometimes try and do to no avail. But it's just nice up here. Only a few times I've thought of jumping off, but only a few times. To the left of me is Australia's highest post box. So if you want to post some mail from here, you can tell the recipient that you've just posted it from the highest point in Australia. And we got the highest toilets in Australia as well.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe for new videos every week, or you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, links in the description below. Or you might enjoy watching some of our other videos on Melbourne. You can find links in the description below to those too. And Ben, I must say it was an honor doing this video with you.
It was an honor doing a video with Topher, actually.
All right, bye-bye.